In my research, I discovered that your parents moved you all, a family of six, to Aubrey in 1969. Now, when you were a child and you moved to this town, what were you thinking, or what was going on in your child brain about where your parents had moved you to?
Well, actually, Aubrey was bigger than the town we moved from. We moved from a little bitty town called Morgan, and it was very small, even smaller than Aubrey. So it was kind of a step up in one sense, but it was a step down in another sense because the house we moved to, we called the old ugly house. It was out on the highway, and it was a very ugly old house. um,
It's just
but
a
we
pile
liked
of boards.
Aubrey.
Just a pile
Yeah,
of boards now. It doesn't even
right,
exist.
right. It was the only house available to rent at the time because I don't even think Krugerville had been built out yet when we moved here. Anyway, but
Yeah, it,
I enjoyed the school. It was a good school, and I enjoyed the school from the first time that we went here. I remember my fifth grade teacher was one of my favorite teachers of all, Mrs. Whitley.
Anyone else want to share what they were thinking when they first moved to Aubrey?
Well, being a child and moving a distance away from the friends that you've grown up with and gone to school with, it's always an intimidating thing. But just it was great coming to a place that you could make new friends and make friends that would be lasting through your entire school career. And that was an exciting time. And just as a child, going someplace new is always exciting because it's like, wow, it's like, this is going to be great. And it turned out to be so. I mean, everybody, I think all of us loved Aubrey, and just from seeing what it was like when we moved there in '69 to what it's like now is it's just an amazing transformation. It's not it's not like it's not in Kansas anymore. So
Oh, I was actually a little awed at how big it was. Um, when when I started sixth grade there in Aubrey, Mrs. Steele was the teacher, and the first day of school there were 50 sixth graders in her classroom. The school we left, Morgan, had just barely 50 kids in first through sixth grade, and so I was a little overwhelmed at what we'd gotten into, just because I wasn't used to that many kids in one school. Um, but I acclimated quickly, and like Ed said, we made some very lifelong friends while we were there, and it was, but it was a little scary at first for me.
Kathleen, would you like to add?
I think for me, I was just like 6 or 7, so my memory, you just go where your parents go and your family goes. So I don't really have any memories of any feeling scared or anything. I just thought it was just what you did. You just went where your parents were. But I do remember starting for when I started. Well, looking back just from the perspective, as you get older, you can kind of see your parents' perspective more than when you're little. And so just thinking about what my parents must have been feeling at the time. I know it was a big step for them because Daddy went from being superintendent in Morgan to just being a teacher in Aubrey. And then my mom had always stayed home with us when we were younger. And because I was going into first grade, she went back to teaching for the first time since Carson was born, really. And so I know that was a big transition for them. And I mean, at the time I was just a kid. I didn't really think anything of that. But now looking back, I can see that it was a major life change for them. But but they handled it well and still loved us and took good care of us. And Daddy even drove the bus, because they didn't make as much money back then either. So I think that there was definitely a pay cut probably. And so Daddy drove the bus, I think, just to earn a little extra money. And but I still remember I would ride the bus sometimes, and that was kind of fun because he was the bus driver. But there were 3 buses, just 3, because that was the size of the school then. But I always remember every day, every time I would get on the bus, I would ask him, "Is this the right bus?" And he would be like, "Yes, it is." It was the same bus all the time, but I still was afraid of getting on the wrong bus. So anyway, they took good care of us.
Took good care of you. I'm so glad that each of you mentioned what you mentioned, because we're having our 3rd tonight of our attendance zone meetings, because we have to have this series of meetings because attendance boundaries get redrawn, right? And so, but what you shared about going to a new school and the friends that you made and feeling safe and secure, even the love from your parents providing that security, it says so much